Hi, my name is Mandy. I'm a marriage and family therapist in Montana. I reached out to some friends and some colleagues and asked them what they would want to know about. If I was going to put a video out there and just going to share some information, what would they want to know? Oddly enough, since I have a tremendous fear of speaking, and the person who talked about what he thought I should talk about knows this, he said, I think you should talk about fear. Winning, because I feel like the expert, right? When I put myself out there. Fear. Okay. So that being said, I'm just going to touch on fear a little bit, and then I'll do some videos going into more detail on the different kinds of fear. There are so many ways that fear shows up for us, so many ways that it plays out in our life. Too much to put in one video. So fear can be a gift. It can be amazing. Fear is what kept our ancestors alive, right? Biologically, if you're going to be hunted by a tiger, you probably should be freaked out. Okay? Totally logical. Keeps you alive. Even in everyday life today, there are things we should be afraid of, right? Like, this isn't safe. I go backpacking, probably hyper fearful. I am convinced that there's a bear behind me, right? I take bear spray. I refuse to let it stop me from going, but I do kind of teeter on extreme fear. Maybe that's what makes it interesting. Anyway, so that's the good fear, right? There's actually a good book if you want to know more about the positive side of fear, how it helps us. It's called The Gift of Fear. Really great stories about fear saving people's lives because their gut said something's not right and they followed it and they're alive because of it. So fear's not a bad thing. Fear is amazing. Fear motivates us. It keeps us safe, right? Even to a degree. I'll say fear number one, fear of failure. Huge. Most people can relate to this one, right? That fear can push you to work harder, to accomplish things. So it's motivating until it gets to the point where it's debilitating. I can't try this because if I fail, terrifying, right? What happens if I fail? What will people say? Which brings me to fear number two, fear of being judged. People think I'm dumb. Will they say I should have never tried anyway? I wasn't qualified to do that. Or what was I thinking? Or God only knows what they might say about me because I did something and it didn't work out, right? That one leads me to fear of rejection, right? They all kind of tie together, you'll notice here. But fear of rejection can be on so many different levels. If I'm myself, will people like me? If I say what I'm thinking, will they still be there for me, right? So there's a judgment there. That fear of judgment and rejection, they're tied pretty closely together. So as long as I don't really put myself out there and I'm not showing this authentic side of myself, I don't have to worry. I can't really live being true to me, but people probably won't reject me. Okay. Another fear of being abandoned. In a relationship, this plays out a lot. I love you, I love you, I love you. I don't want to lose you. I'll do anything, right? And then it turns into we're looking for reasons why somebody might leave. We're looking at all the things from our past that say people do leave, and we become so overwhelmed with that fear of being left that it starts controlling our relationships. We assume something's wrong when nothing's wrong. You know, your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever comes home, family member, parent, and they're quiet, right? Maybe they had a bad day, but all of a sudden that fear, that feeling, oh my gosh, they're going to leave me. What did I do wrong? Takes over, and it's so destructive to your relationship. It's destructive to you, and it's terrifying. Okay, so there's another one. There are so many that I won't, like I said, I won't touch on them all, but my favorite one I've heard recently, and this is not going to be my last one, I lied, But my favorite recent one that I heard, I was talking with a colleague and he was talking about his fear of expanding his company, which is a really successful practice. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. You know, it's always kind of scary to have change, right? Which is another big one. It's scary to make changes. We don't know how it's going to play out, if we'll succeed. So I'm empathizing with this, right? I get it. That's scary. And he blows me away with this one. Wait for it. I'm afraid of succeeding and just getting too big, too successful. What? Really, I had not heard this before. I know there are other people out there with that fear. I just hadn't encountered it. And I sat there and said, tell me more about that, because I cannot relate, right? This is a fear I have not had, but it's real. And so it doesn't matter, right? Like his fear is different than my fear. I said, I'm at the opposite end. I don't want to fail. That's what's scary for me. And you're telling me you don't want to succeed. If we could just like come together somewhere, we'd both be solid. So that's a big one. Fear of success. People, that means you're going to be seen. People are going to know who you are. There's going to be new expectations. Oh, now you're up in a place of being judged, rejected, right? The bigger you are, the more people that are going to see who you are. That's scary. Okay. I didn't touch on this. There are phobias. Phobias can be debilitating. If you're not familiar with a phobia, you take fear and make it huge, right? Fear of heights, claustrophobia, right? I cannot be in a small space or I'm going to freak out. Fear of snakes, fear of mice. But we're not talking like a mouse, right? We're talking like, I cannot go in there because there could be a mouse. I cannot go on that elevator because it will break down and I will freak out. I can't fly because I'll be the person who gets on the plane and it wrecks. Fear can be beautiful. It can save our lives. It can keep us aware of what's around us. Fear can be debilitating if we don't keep it in check and just ask ourselves what's really going on here. And learning how to combat fear, to face your fears, to look them in the eye and just accept that they're real. There's so much more to it. You don't just say, well, just do it and you'll feel better. You'll be over the fear. It can happen sometimes with some things, but some things that drive that fear inside of us are so deep that they take a lot of figuring out what's driving it and how do I combat this so I can move on and have a happy life, happy relationships, feel good about myself, trust myself, and be okay taking risks and knowing that it'll be okay. So if there's a specific fear you're interested in hearing about or how it impacts something specifically like a job, your relationship with your boss, getting to the gym, or how you overcome the fear of bears in the wilderness, or how you haven't really, but you still push yourself to do it. Let me know. I'm happy to talk about whatever you're interested in. Otherwise, I will be back with my fear topic of choice. And if there's some topic unrelated to fear entirely that you want to hear about, anything self-esteem, marriage, breakups, you name it, I'm down to talk about it. So until next time, what are you afraid of? What do you want to not be afraid of? How do you want to move forward without fear? Let me know.